Hello everyone, welcome back to the Looney Bin. My name is Looney, and My Hero Academia has finally ended its manga serialization run for almost 10 years. And with any end to any sort of Shonen Jump manga that has lasted for more than 10 years, there's a lot of chaos surrounding the ending. To the point where, like, there's people who love it, people who like it, people who hate it, and people who are just shitposting because I don't. Because that's one of the biggest things to do whenever a manga ends. It happened with Naruto. It happened with Bleach. There will be people there who would be just trolling and making fun of a manga because either something in the ending they're trolling about, something in the ending wasn't written well, or they didn't like it. But I think for a majority of people, I think most liked it. And while there is, and you've probably seen a lot of trolling, a lot of that is usually just by the loud minority who just like to speak loudly and make jokes and troll certain aspects. For this video, I'm not going to specifically go too much into like My Hero Academia's finale. We'll talk about it briefly. I'm more concerned with the shipping aspect of My Hero Academia, simply just because, just like Naruto, just like Bleach, shipping became a huge topic of conversation at the end of the story. Because, essentially, the end of a story, if a ship is confirmed, not confirmed, or no ship is confirmed, is a very highly big topic discussed among a lot of people in the community. Specifically because it's a habit of shipping communities in like these big series. They tend to be ostracized. They tend to be, seen as the lower part of the community because shippers, for some strange reason, are seen as the lowest of low. Right? And while I don't believe so, I believe that shippers have every right to be in the community. There are times when even I'm just like, okay, some shippers can take it a little bit too far. My Hero Academia is no exception. There has been several reports, rumors, and other things that talked about certain people, certain shippers sending death threats, sending hateful messages to the creator, Horikoshi, who may not have had that influence his decision in what he wanted to do in the finale of My Hero Academia. Now, I don't know if that is true. Probably not. Most authors understand that people will be, it's a really crappy situation that some authors already know this, that some people can take certain things a little bit too far. And I believe Hori already understood that, and he decided to end it the way he wanted to end it, right? So we'll talk about that a little bit more. We'll talk about if any ship has become canon, what ship did become canon, did any ship become canon, all that jazz we will talk about. But first off, let's talk about essentially the finale and my own personal thoughts about the finale. I think the finale was good. I don't think the finale was really bad. I don't think it was terrible. I think the execution, I think that's where most of the disappointment comes from. The execution wasn't well done, in my personal opinion. I kind of understood like the messaging that Hori wanted to portray in the story. Now, it is my interpretation, so maybe you might think it was something different. Maybe there was something more than what I thought the ending was about. And that's perfectly fine. I don't think it was bad. I just think that the execution was poor. I don't know if that was due to maybe possibly, Hori rushing the series, or not having enough time, not having enough chapters to really delve into a lot of the other issues that he could have expanded on to eventually give that proper ending that a lot of people think that it deserved. But I still think it was good. I just think that a lot of people got caught up with the unofficial translation of the story, which is why I wanted to wait for the official, because even I was like a little confused about it in the unofficial translation. It was a little weird, and I wanted to make sure what the official translation said to get like a proper view of like what Hori wanted to essentially say in certain dialogue that was in the final chapter. Specifically the dialogue about Deku essentially being alone for 8 years. After reading the official, I kind of get where Hori was coming from. What I know Hori wanted to say is essentially Deku and the others have grown up. When you become an adult, for those who mostly are trolling like Deku and all that stuff, most of it are from people who think that none of the heroes hung out with Deku, that he never had a conversation with them, that he never talked to them, DM'd them, messaged them, because essentially they were all busy. That's essentially what it is. It's like he hasn't been alone. Yes, he feels lonely because he hasn't had the opportunity to hang out with them. And I think that's part of the problem that most people don't realize, is that when you become adults, when you start working, when you have to start like thinking about supporting yourself as an individual, you will spend less time with your friends unless you have a job or you work together and then you spend time that way, right? But the more you grow, the more you get older, you will slowly start seeing your friends less. And it has nothing to do with you being lonely, it has nothing to do with your friends not communicating with you and all that stuff. It's just part of being an adult, because you have your own priorities to think about. You have, to make money. You have to start thinking about, life savings, retirement. Yes, even retirement, even at the young age of like me, like in the 30s, you have to start thinking about this, right? So it's like, I fully understand what Deku meant and what Hori wanted to say, is that the older you get, everyone is just busy. Everyone just doesn't have time to hang out. Their work schedules just do not match, so you never have the time to hang out. I have gone through that. I have experienced that so much. Me and my friends barely have time to hang out as much anymore because we're all just working. And it sucks. It's part of growing up, and I think that's what Hori wanted to showcase in that regard. Not that none of his classmates ever wanted to speak to him or wanted to hang out with him. It was none of that. It wasn't like he was alone, like in the very beginning where he had no friends. No, it's just that they're all busy. He's a teacher at the academy. Like, come on, it happens in real life when you finally, unless you already experienced this, then you know what this feeling. But when you start to experience this, you know that it's very difficult. There are very much a lot of people who do have that great opportunity to hang out with your friends all the time, right? But at the end of the day, it just becomes harder to plan, to see each other, and hang out. It's very difficult. So I don't see the whole thing with the loneliness and all that stuff as a big deal as some people are making out to be. Now, do I think that it was executed poorly? I think part of it, yes, but also part of it was also the unofficial translation that got people really confused about it in general. Not what Hori wanted to say in his messaging. And the other thing is that, Deku lost his powers, and instead of being a hero, he stayed as a teacher. And I think part of what the message that Hori wanted to say was essentially this. You don't have to have a quirk. You don't have to be this super, big hero with superpowers to actually be a hero. Teachers are heroes. Doctors are heroes. Firefighters are heroes. All of these people are heroes, right? You do not need a quirk to be a hero. A teacher's a hero because they're the ones who help educate the youth. They're the ones who, lead the youth down the right path, and that is important. Because no matter what people say, no matter what you feel, the youth is always the most important group in any sort of society. Because they're the ones who slowly lead the world to, the next era. They are part of the reason why so many people can be good or so many people can be bad. We see this with like the world that was before the time skip, where like the idea of heroism is all about stopping the bad guy, but not really solving why the bad guys become bad guys, right? Which is an injustice, not injustice in society, but just not understanding that a lot of things in a lot of people's childhood create their mentality into the future. And Deku becoming a teacher and Ochako creating this support group is essentially trying to help the youth become better, to go down the right path. That's what was one of the big things about the final conflict that had Deku and Ochako face against Toga and Shigaraki. I think I might be misspelling his name. I apologize for that. But the final villain, right? That they were ostracized as kids because of their quirks, right? If there was any sort of way to help them as kids, they would essentially be, better. They would go down a much proper path, but no one gave the opportunity to console them, to tell them that it's all right, it's okay. You feel this way, but you don't have to feel bad about it. You could do good things with your abilities, right? Yes, there will be times where your abilities can make you look like a bad person, but you don't have to give into it. You could become good. You could go down the right path, but you need someone there to help you follow that right path. And we see that in the final chapter, in the chapter before the final chapter, where that old grandma grabs that young kid who's like wondering, why is everyone smiling, why is everyone happy while I'm suffering here. The grandma helped because she saw the whole fight, she saw what happened, and she saw that she needed to provide and to help her own community. That's how you grow, that's how you change society. It's through the youth. The more the youth see that they are going down a much better and good path, right? That's how you change the future. And Deku, being a teacher, does that. That's what teachers are essentially, do. I know the situation in our real world about teachers and stuff like that, especially in the United States, but the point is still there. The idea is still there that teachers do a lot, and they affect a lot of what the youth do with their future, with the new era that they bring upon. That's, I think, what the message that Hori wanted to showcase. It's just that it wasn't executed well, and I think part of the reason was either the unofficial translation or just people like being upset about certain things that they didn't get to see, or certain things that wasn't confirmed or anything like that, or it just wasn't paced very well. It could have been a multiple things like that, but that's what I believe, and that is my interpretation of like what the final chapter and what Hori's message essentially was. But we eventually see that Deku gets this Iron Man, this this mechanical suit, to eventually become a hero and joining the others. Now, those are my thoughts about the ending. But let's move on to the shipping aspect. I will say that there is really no confirmation of any ship, right? There's no confirmation. There's nothing that legit tells you in the final chapter what ship became canon. Shipping in the My Hero Academia community can be very volatile. It can be very excessive to a very high degree, right? The idea of where the threats came from, I believe, from my understanding, is that a lot of it came from some shippers who wanted their ship to become canon, or I believe it was something like they wanted some the characters to essentially go down. What was the word I'm looking for? Essentially, wanting them to be part of the LGBT community, or like be part LGBT, to essentially get together with their preference of a ship, like Deku and Bakugo. Deku and Bakugo is a really popular ship in the My Hero Academia community. I always believe that you could ship anyone you want. Doesn't matter. Yaoi, Yuri, straight ship, doesn't matter. You could ship whoever you want, right? I just think that you have to just not be excessive about it. You don't have to go send messages, send hate mail, send threatening mail to the creator because he's not doing what you want, right? That's not good. That's not something I condone. That's not something anyone should condone at all. Ships are supposed to be about fun. It's not supposed to take it to that level, but some people do. I don't know who sent those messages. All I know is that is what I'm hearing from the My Hero Academia community, right? And that's just what I'm going off of. I have no way of dictating who is responsible for those messages at all. I can't tell you that because I just don't know. I never seen those messages. I don't know who those messages are from. But I will say this. Shipping is fun. You don't have to have a ship canon to not let it, affect you to the point where like you have to stop shipping them. It's just supposed to be fun. You ship them. Read fan fiction. Look at fan art. Draw fan art. Do all this fun fan stuff about your ship, and people will appreciate it. People will love it. Even after the series ends, you could still do all that stuff because guess what? It's part of the fun. That's what makes shipping fun, is that you get to see this. You get to see people's interpretation of a character's relationship with another character, and even if they're romantic, right? That's the best part about shipping. It's just about having fun with the community that, go along with you. So, I think that's part of the reason where I think Hori essentially left it as an open ending. There's no ship, like I mentioned, that is canon. Whether it's Deku or Chako, whether it's Deku and Bakugo, Deku and Todoroki Bakugo, even like other ships that were like, what was his name, Kaminari and Kyoka, nothing has been confirmed. No ship has been confirmed. It's left as an open ending, right? And I think Hori decided not to do any ships, possibly from the threats, but I think he just wanted to give people the opportunity to ship and believe whatever ship they believe in to be canon. And I think that's where he left off at. and that's what he wanted because he didn't want to upset people. And that's one of my biggest gripes about Shonen Jump authors, which I will go into another video. But essentially, a lot of Shonen Jump authors just do not have like that confession showcased in the manga. There's a few who do. Mostly sports manga do it. Sports manga do it a lot in like shonen sports manga, especially in Shonen Jump. But I'm not relatively just putting it on Shonen Jump, but shonen, but just on Shonen Jump itself, because you see in Bleach, you see in Naruto, aside from the final chapters where you already see the confirmed pairings, they never show that confession. They never show that moment where like you see that couple become canon. You eventually see in like a movie or a side story. That's one of the things that I don't necessarily like a lot with like a lot of these Shonen Jump battle shonen series. And it's a little disappointing. I'm not like telling them to do it, otherwise they're like pussies or something like that, right? I would like to see it, and I think a lot of other shippers would like to see it as well. I think that's the major point. Like in FMA, it's a shonen series in a different manga, and the creator, the author, was showcased a confession, and I thought it was fantastic. So it's just strange that they don't do it, and I don't know if it's a Shonen Jump thing specifically, but like, yeah, I don't know. It's just mind-boggling to me. But yeah, there's no ship confirmation MHA in the final chapter. I will say that in my own personal interpretation of the series, I do think that even in the final chapter, there are moments where they showcase what ship actually did win. But it's still, it's still an open. There's no actual hard confirmation. I just think that my own personal interpretation is that Deku and Ochako essentially would have been the canon pairing if Hori decided to choose, just because of what the story showcased several times, right? Ochako already admitting her feelings like twice already, and Deku showcasing like moments where he's flustered around her. Granted, he's flustered around most female characters, so I guess it's not a really big thing. But like, Hori essentially made them very close, so it would be strange if that eventually wasn't like, the canon ship in like a movie or side story, if Hori ever decides to do that, or if he ever decides to confirm it in some other way, right? So I think at the end, there's really no way to confirm a ship because there's no hard confirmation. And I know people are going through different things, like, picking at certain things, like, for example, the mask Ochako was wearing her new hero outfit. Now, I looked at it, I made a post about it on social media, x.com, and frankly, it doesn't seem like it's Deku's mask, but I will say it does look like it paid homage to Deku's mask. And I think that could be a hint. There's also the hint of, Ochako looking up at Deku while blushing, right? The only issue is that Todoroki is also looking at Deku, so it's like, that's how other shippers will counter it, So, like I said, there's no hard confirmation. I think that if Hori does eventually do something, it would be something with Deku and Ochako. I think that's where he wanted to go, where he would have gone if he decided to do any pairings in the final chapter, but he didn't. He left it as open ending, allowing you, the fans, to decide and, come up with your own conclusion. Which, in the end, regardless of if a ship became canon, you can still ship it. You just cannot force other people to believe it is canon when there's no confirmation of it. That's the other thing that shippers need to understand. If there's no confirmation, if there's no way to showcase truly of a hard confession about a couple or a ship becoming canon, you cannot claim your ship is canon. It's still a headcanon at that point. But you could still ship it. You could still have fun with it, right? That's what open endings do, and that's what, those type of ships do as well. So in the end, I think overall the My Hero Academia shipping has a lot of ups and downs. Hopefully I could do like a full analysis of the entire My Hero Academia shipping sphere. My 3D printer is about to make a noise, so I apologize for that. It's creating a little small cat. I needed to test the print because I was changing the filament, but it should make a noise soon. I apologize for that. But there it is. I don't know if you heard it, but it made a noise. But yeah, so in the end, you don't have to, have a ship to become canon to stop shipping it. It's when you try to force it onto other people. It's when you try to, claim it's canon when the story either doesn't dictate it or doesn't showcase it, right? You don't have to claim it as canon. You don't have to. You shouldn't if there's no hard, conclusion or there's no hard evidence to showcase that. In the end, it's all about having fun with the ship, and you could continue to do so even after the story ends. Because shipping is fun and should always be fun. You don't have to send threats. You don't have to, call people out, call people's names, and all that stuff that I know a lot of shipping wars do. In the end, it's all about having fun, and you should have fun regardless of who you ship, right? As long as it's not a weird ship, like you have like a goddamn old man with a goddamn high schooler. Yeah, that's kind of weird. That's very, very weird, and there are specific manga about that kind of stuff that you could definitely check out. But like most of that stuff is just like a little weird, and shouldn't like be something that it's just weird. I guess that's the best way to put it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoy my reaction and my analysis to the final chapter. Let me know what you think, and yeah, happy shipping. Everyone in My Hero Academia space, communities, continue shipping your favorite characters at the end of the day. Because shipping's about fun. It's about loving the relationship that the characters have. It's just that, just don't force or try to claim something as canon, right? When essentially there's no hard evidence to prove so. So, let me know what you think, and yeah. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, to the video, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, bye bye.